Rev up your engines!
Bad breeding. Scotty, Minnesota had cold temperatures. 2 days of minus 32. Schools are closed. I kept my car in the garage. Some people couldn't. Do temperatures that cold damage car parts? Really old car parts that are going out? Yes, it could. Over extended periods of time, radical temperature changes are actually worse than the actual cold themselves. And I'll give you an example. A friend of mine who was from Houston, working in the oil industry for a couple of years up in Alaska. And up in northern Alaska, where it's really cold. And he said it was like 40 below one day. He paid a guy to use his giant heated garage to store his car in. So it's 40 below outside, and his car's stored inside the nice guy's heated garage. So he decides he's going to take it for a ride. So 50, 60 degrees inside the heated garage, they open the door and he drives it out. And as soon as he drove it out, his windshield shattered. The worst thing is actually quick temperature changes. He went from 50, 60 degrees to minus 40 like that, driving it out. That's what actually hurts it. You're driving outside anyways in the cold weather. The worst thing would be to have something go 90, 100 degrees difference in temperature all at once. The big snap. Of course, if you store something for ages and ages in cold weather, yeah, the cold's going to bother plastic and stuff like that if it's old. But it's actually the temperature change quickly that can really do the damage. Because over time, as it generally heats up, it won't bother it that much. But going from real hot to real cold to real cold to real hot, that's what can damage stuff. Jesse Reyes. Hey, my brother's got a 98 Accord and the car drives. But after a while, it's hard to get it to accelerate. We thought it was a transmission, so he put a new one in and it still has the same problem. What could it be? Gee, you wasted a lot of money on a transmission. You know, they're not cheap. You want to pray that you didn't get a bad transmission, because that is what? That's a 21-year-old Honda Accord. They're notorious for having bad transmissions. And if you went to a junkyard and got a used one, that could still be the problem. I mean, if I were you, I'd pay a guy like me to check it out first just to see what's happening. It could be the transmission. Now, if it's not the transmission, what you do is first change the fuel filter. Clogged fuel filter will do that. If it's not that, have the fuel pump pressure tested, because if it's not pumping enough fuel, you're going to lose acceleration. And once the car warms up and the fuel pump's been running a while, if it's old, and that's a 21-year-old car, the pump just wears out when it gets hot and doesn't build up enough pressure. You want to pray it's something simple like that, and not that you just got another bad transmission. It's going to take a mechanic to figure that out, because the transmission stuff, it's complex to check, and you need some really good mechanics with some good scan tools to see if indeed it might still be the transmission. Got a used one. Honda has bad ones. Marion Akiro. I've been pumping my brakes for 3 days and my brakes are spongy. Help. You got to pump your brake. That means there's a problem in the system somewhere. The first thing you do is you take all the wheels off. Brake calipers, see if there's any fluid leaking, meaning they're leaking and they need replacing. First, check for leaks. Now, if you don't see any leaks, then you can have internal leaks. The brake master cylinder, the part you step on, that can have an internal leak. And what it'll do is, you step on the brakes and stuff, it'll suck air in the top. You won't see it leaking anywhere, but it'll be sucking air in, and then it would need a master cylinder. You hope it's one of those, because those are the easier things to fix. If you have ABS brakes, it could be a problem in the ABS system. If you have a bad brake booster, it can be a problem in the booster, and those things are uber expensive. They can cost a lot of money. So check for the leaks first. Pray you can find a leak and it's something simple. The Dexa 88 says, Scotty, Fiat has good cars in Europe and cheap ones. It's weird that they're exporting USA bad ones. The diesel engines are great. I don't live in Europe. I live in the United States. And I've been a mechanic for 51 years. So, my experience is just about everything Fiat makes is garbage. And you say their diesel engines are great. Maybe the ones in Europe, the ones that they send over here, those things are falling apart, left, right, and center. I had a customer buy one. The engine didn't go 15,000 miles before it blew up. So whatever they're sending over here is garbage. I don't know. Maybe they make different stuff than they're selling in Europe. I have no idea. I just know I live in the United States, and their quality's absolutely horrendous. And to give you an example, when they started pushing those Fiat 500s and selling them in the United States, early on, the first few years, I believe it was the second or third year they sold them here, they did sell 55,000 of them 1 year in the United States. Well, last year, they only sold like 4,500 in the United States. States because people realize, hey, those things are piles of junk. I don't want one of those crappy Fiats. I had customers bought them, and boy, they all hated them to a man and woman. They thought they were cute looking. They said, hey, they ride horrible. They break down all the time. They don't have much acceleration. Because here in the United States, people are generally kind of lazy. They all have automatic transmissions. And those things with automatic transmissions can't even get out of their own way. The quality's just, ooh, I don't care what anybody says. You ask a real mechanic in the United States how Fiats are, and I'll tell you, the honest ones, they're horrible.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.